Alright everyone, you may have noticed I'm back in the USSA. There is a lot going on right now. I've got an enormous amount of stuff to do, so if I look a little bit tired, I did finally, get sleep, so there's always that. We need to talk about J.D. Vance, of course. He was chosen as Donald Trump's running mate. Not a terribly surprising pick. He was on the short list. We already knew that. We knew he was near the top of the short list too. And I suspected that he leaned towards J.D. Vance. Basically, Trump had three things he could have chosen from. You can have a quiet, unassuming, like a Ben Carson sort of vice president, the quiet male vice president. That'd be characteristic. It'd be like a Mike Pence. You could have had a fiery, charismatic female, so somebody like Tulsi Gabbard. That's who I personally think he should have chosen. I do believe that there were a couple of people that were better. But the third option that you could go with is you get a fiery male. Slightly uncharacteristic of Donald Trump, actually. To have basically he just hired a bulldog. He's going to rip Kamala Harris apart at the debate. That much is now clear. And he is now presumptively going to be the vice president of the United States. Now, some people have a problem with J.D. Vance, but these people are generally non-serious. It's like, we fear winning, being like a typical neocon or something like that. Meanwhile, the liberals are frenetic about it. Oh my God, look at J.D. Vance's comments about women before. So yeah, the country being run by cat ladies. Well, he isn't entirely wrong, now is he? It's been a big problem. There are multiple political problems going on right now. You may have seen some of them recently. We may have talked about them as well. We'll be talking about much more, by the way, as we go through this week. Things right now are chaotic politically. It's like at least an 8 out of 10 level of chaos that we're dealing with. It's sort of like the energy of 2016 all over again when you think about it. I think J.D. Vance is perfectly acceptable. While there were other people that I would have preferred over J.D. Vance, and while there are some lingering questions about some of his views, his comments on Iran, for example, maybe a bit rankling, we also have to understand that Donald Trump is not likely to die in office. He's cognitively well. He's physically reasonably well for a person of his age. Apparently, he can just fucking cheat death, so, I don't think that he loses any sleep at night thinking about getting shot or anything like that, because apparently he's got somebody watching over him. I wonder who that could possibly be. J.D. Vance, therefore, is basically going to have more of a traditional VP role. Senate tie-breaking vote, diplomacy, fucking attack dog. And that's, I think, why Donald Trump leaned towards him. I think that Trump has basically decided to say fuck you to the establishment and say, no, I'm not going with a quiet, unassuming dude who will screw me over this time. I think I need a different strategy because you literally just tried to shoot me. I have a feeling that maybe there were several people on the table before the assassination attempt, and he said, you know what, fuck. Clearly, he can't go with Rand Paul, because Rand Paul's got too important a Senate role, probably would turn down the role anyway. Tulsi, well, I think it would have been a good choice. I think that Vance, he has a military background and shit like that. I think that the idea of having a relatively powerful speaker as the VP is mainly a counterbalance to the Biden administration's attempt at persecution. I think he'll do a good job as vice president. I don't have any qualms about him. Again, he goes into the perfectly acceptable category. Maybe not great. Maybe has a couple of shortcomings, but it's better than Mike Pence now, isn't it? I see some of the doom pillars out there. They're like, well, Donald Trump just stole his own thunder and stuff like that. Then they were whining about the convention. They were whining about the fact that a person said a brief Hindu statement there, and that there was a lesbian and shit like that. It's like, okay, can I please be the pragmatist in the room? What's the goddamn alternative? I don't see the GOP pushing DEI programs now do I? Well, some of the neocon, like the Mitt Romney types, but I don't see the MAGA Republicans doing that. By the way, can I please bitch momentarily about the people whining about the Republican National Convention's lineup? Donald Trump does not get to unilaterally choose everyone that speaks there and does not necessarily endorse all of their views. Just saying. there is a plethora of opinions within the GOP. That would be like saying that Joe Biden is singularly responsible for the lineup at the DNC, at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Well, no, I mean, he can't even choose his own sock color at this point, so quite clearly you can't blame the man. Trump doesn't need to micromanage the whole fucking convention, so I'm not worried about that either. By the way, I have no problem with Hinduism anyway, and I don't understand. Some people want the GOP to singularly be the party of straight, white male Christians, or something like that. You're going to be a minor party. How are you supposed to win elections? You're in Amish country and Mormon territory. You'd be smaller than the fucking Green Party at that point. It doesn't even make any sense to me. And then they're bitching about J.D. Vance. God damn, give the man a fucking chance. I mean, clearly we need to re-elect Donald Trump. I think that everything else is now off the table. Considering what has happened recently, considering the state of the economy, the legal persecution, the border crisis, multiple diplomatic crises, and considering the fact that the left is now getting crazy enough to try to brain a presidential candidate, I think that we just need to fucking re-elect Donald Trump. So I'm Team Trump. This doesn't, I mean, it wouldn't change anything no matter who he chose. Even if he had chosen Mike Pence again, I would have said maybe he's gone crazy, but I still would have voted for him, honestly. I would still vote for him if he had chosen fucking Nikki Haley, although thankfully he put that off the table very early on. By the way, neocon Nikki just gave a full-throated endorsement, so it's no longer just, hey, you had take the delegates, Donald. It's more like, I'm going to suck cock. I'm kissing ring. Please don't destroy the rest of my political career that barely exists anyway. J.D. Vance, I think, will do a reasonably good job. Certainly better than Mike Pence. Unlike in 2016, where I was briefly off the Trump train when Pence was chosen, I said, you're going somewhere where I can't follow. And my inclinations, by the way, were right. My instincts were totally correct about Mike Pence. I was correct. There were some people, by the way, who fought me on this subject. Well, how can you get off the Trump train? We got to save America. Well, yeah, but you got Mike Pence in there. But then it became clear there was no alternative. And I said, well, you know, Trump will survive office, so, you know, Pence will be in the background anyway. So I sort of had to hold my nose for that ticket, honestly, simply because of Pence's appearance there. With Vance, I don't get that sense. I don't need to hold my nose. I don't think that he's a 10 out of 10 running mate / probable vice president in a few short months, but I don't have to hold my nose for the ticket. It passes the smell test in a way that Mike Pence didn't pass it. I don't get the sense that he's going to stab the country in the back or push Trump down the stairs or something like that. I realize, by the way, that he and Vance, they exchanged words some time ago. This happens all the time in politics. Don't worry too much about it. These people feign outrage at one another for a living. It's called politics. So that's not a problem either. So yes, J.D. Vance is running mate. I'll give him a B- and say, okay, well, you've passed. There's no problem with this. It may not be an A+, but I mean, can we really expect the moon on a stick? No, we've got to be political pragmatists. That's about all. Peace out.